Alright, okay. I just slightly realised it's a bit of a breeze. I don't want to talk about the flower. And I was out here before. This is like about 90 minutes later, and I said I was going to the problem that I spoke about, that I wasn't sure if it was in my first book or my second book, and I was actually looking up. It's actually in the first book of poetry that I wrote, which I actually went through all that in 2012. Initially in 2011, I put together all the pieces of poetry that I had that I written back in the 90s, and I decided that I would put all of it together in one volume of work. So I gathered together all the poetry. I always wanted to just have one book of poetry that I'd written. I thought it'd be great. I thought it'd be really terrific if I could have a book of poetry that I wrote. And that was my goal during the 90s, but I wasn't very proficient in it during the 90s. I put a couple of things together, but not greatly, and so that all ended up happening, and I went through great frustration with that, because it was not going to happen. And then what happened in about 2000, the year 2000, I finally got my groove, my rhythm, and I started to write poetry, and I started to be I'm good at it, or good, define good. Anyway, but I struck a particular rhythm in the year 2000, a very particular rhythm, and I started to write a great deal of poetry. And then got to 2011, and it was all scattered. It was everywhere. It was in bits and pieces. And I thought, I'll just put it together. It would be fantastic and terrific. So I put it all together, and I thought it would take me 2 weeks, and I'd wrap it up. And I started out with it, trying to put it together and organise it, and that took a year and a half. It wasn't until about 2012 that I'd finally put my first book together, and that ended up being coming together. I'm not going to say the title in case someone, because it's not published, and then if someone sees this and they plagiarise me and I've lost it, then I do have it. It is a title, but that was the wind then. Right, okay. Big wind came along now. Took the camera with it. So I'm just downstairs in the hotel room, and I'm thinking, so in 2008 I wrote, and it's actually called 1:36 AM Love Illusion, and I wrote this in 2008 as part of the first book that I wrote. And it is a little bit, it's a little bit chilly. I'm just concerned about the wind. It's a little bit chilly up here, but nonetheless. The Angel and the Dark Chorus. When routine called, a circle formed in blue. And I don't have my glasses on, so this is a little, I actually need glasses to read these days since it was 6 months ago, but nonetheless, the Angel and the Dark Chorus. When routine called, a circle formed in blue. Out burst the bright white. Thin colours that creep out in middle of day, things that pronounce out of tune, soul-deep mechanism that performs again, a chilly space in the centre of a dying fence and the doorway closed, a magnetic human wearing charismatic wings fly, ambition is seated to the right-hand side of decay, their flowers are torn, the graveyard of horror, galaxy beams 1 and 2 pictured in the mystery, ambient flow of light on the delicate statue, shiny, expensive lipstick, a swimming pool somewhere in time, gothic landscape, preferred overture, Beverly Hills and the tender man in tin whom shall walk. I am the finder of the key in many fantastics. I am the finder of many pictures, words crafted in bronze, adjusted in darkness, and lips seen moving. A mumble, extended vocabulary, careful joining at the sacred moment that is standing near the goal, significant solace, opportunity, pathway point. The near bright green imaginary friend with smooth skin. Their reflection is now clear in the midst of night, waiting for the halo. At 7 we see more into a fiery haze, the dust that settles onto the fine-etched person, finger tapping away along a bed that sits close to the stars, close to the door of reach, for the brief instants where happiness and melancholy dwell together in discussion of a portrait of Thebes. Waterbed arousal, the central ones, rhyme and reason in the book of Audley. The dear little ones, they voice their opinion. The stimuli in the table of belief, and the flower grows. We are alone in daydream, and think of this as surreal rest. The crystal water can of never sits in the desert of Loptuitus in a puddle. We are coherent in hearing him play hide and seek between beverages. Listen for clues to the soundtrack. Still in the water of time's oppression she floats. Her contemplation and patience for him. Still in the water of time's oppression she floats. Her contemplation and patience for him. Her hand, her touch to survive, he breathes. Her hand, her touch to survive, he breathes. The sad birth of anxiety which frustrates the smile of Zwemer and complicates the word we need to start. A familiar sanctuary in the poster I stare into. With open eyes I feel the beautiful sensational longing of the mystical weird grin of Blondie. The waltz backwards, the song is better now. I feel the portrait is finished. I feel it will be a warm afternoon. We sleep now. That brings back so many memories. That's actually particular. It's actually particular because it's written in partly about an aspect of my feature. I haven't looked at that in a decade. That was quite nice actually. That was really cool to read out. I felt like I was back in 2008. When I wrote it. It reminds me I have to get on with my feature. I was going to do a couple more things out here tonight, but I can't relax because there's a big wind on and off. So I'm just going to keep it very limited now at the moment. Because I actually prefer to stand back just here, but I'm not really sort of going to do that. I'm very happy to read that out actually, really good. I remember writing that, and that's the one that I lost with the text, and then I recovered it like 20 minutes later when I just wrote it back out, and I recovered a majority of it. It was very good. Yes, I was back in the hotel room just now, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I should just go read that poem on the observation deck. And so yes. And somewhere at the beginning of the 90s, somewhere not mid-90s, the early 90s, I thought I'd love to just have one book of poetry. One book of poetry that I did, just one volume. I'd love to have that, and just have it sit, in the library, or in Dimmicks, but in the library. I discovered this is a good I should get away all the way out.